Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Ripley. I'm the CEO of a company called Distraction 999, and we're here to prevent traffic crashes, traffic fatalities due to drivers being on the phones. So we're just going to jump into a PowerPoint here to look into this serious accident causation and fatality causation. Hopefully, you can understand it better and what solutions are on the market to eradicate this specific colossal problem. People are becoming more and more attached and addicted to their phones. So for driver safety, reducing collisions and insurance costs may be a big challenge for fleet managers and organisations alike. But what is the main cause of the collisions and what can be done about it? Well, there's a big story here to be told about the numbers, and I've looked around for lots of research as to how bad it is globally, not just in the UK, of course, although we're talking just to the UK at the moment. But primarily 150 times a day is the number of times a person checks their phones. That's come out from our friends at New York Times. 88% of drivers admit to looking at the phones when they're driving, and that is a colossal amount of percentage of people interacting with the phones, as it were. And 71% of commercial vehicle crashes are aligned with phones use when driving, and it gets just as bad for related to crashes related to phone use, and this is for cars and light commercial vehicles. And we have the frightening image here of this guy, and that is what phone addiction is literally all about. Primarily, you're driving blind when you're texting and phoning, and your attention is taken away from the driving task. And this is becoming a significant problem in the fleet and in the insurance space, what we're trying to eradicate. So basically, it's a leading cause of vehicle crashes, and it can ruin a company's brand and reputation. So this means that nearly 1 in every 5 crashes can be directly attributed to a phone-related distraction. And for the crashes, which has gone, I think, over about 866 million miles, the data has been analysed, I beg your pardon. And we have 17% involving speeding, 57% involve phone use, and a U75% involving hard braking. I think there's a contribution there from people being on the phones to looking up at the road scene again after they've got their head firmly entrenched into the phone, looking at the phones, and suddenly there's stationary vehicles in front of them, and they have to brake hard to avoid crashing into the vehicles in front of them directly, of course. So basically, it's just all evolved around that lack of attention and taking the awareness and the anticipation out of the equation when you're driving, and literally driving blind. And they say that a text, if you make a text message, you're around about 4 seconds with your eyes off the road scene. You may as well just put a blindfold over your eyes and drive. How scary is that? But that's what's happening on the roads, and we need to look at these pertinent figures. So what's a proactive risk management through technology? What can we do? What can we do about it? What's the problem? So we know that the number one distraction in the vehicle is the mobile phone. We're aware of that. And claims for insurers and fleets, claims make up 65% to 80% of fleet insurance premiums. And we can manage down your premiums and reduce your fleet claims frequency and improve defensibility. Lots of companies have no phone policies. We understand that, we get that, but a policy alone is not enough. So we strengthen that and we enforce that policy to protect your company. And we're also protecting drivers from themselves. And with a dramatic and drastic shortage of current drivers, we do need to protect the drivers from themselves because they're addicted to the phones, and they can't resist when the phone pings or rings or makes a buzzing noise. The instant the eyes are taken off the road and they instantly look at the phones. So to eliminate the biggest single causation of fender benders and fatality accidents, and that's what proactive risk management through technology is all about. So Distraction 999, the model for improvement is what are we trying to accomplish? How will we know what the change is an improvement, and what changes can we make that will result in improvement? So the aims and the measurements and the change ideas. So basically we plan, or we plan, we do, we study, we act. And that's the format there. let me move this. What I'm doing here. Aims is to make our organisation or your organisation a safer, better place to work, improve road safety for our staff and the wider road using public, improve our service delivery by keeping staff safe and at work and our vehicles serviceable and roadworthy to protect against organisation reputation. What measurements can we get which will enable us to know what the change is providing, if the change is providing improvements, enabling us to view and manage driver performance. We will have the ability to schedule exception reports and the change ideas. We will communicate the benefits of this system and why we as an organisation are introducing it. We can design an education programme to explain and demonstrate the value of this service and design a development programme to educate and assist drivers who repeatedly breach the system. This will be viewed as a development and not a punishment tool. And that is so relevant to say, we're all in this together and it comes from the top. The CEO, the fleet manager needs to send out communications to the drivers and say, we need to look after you better than what we are. We need to protect you from what's going on the roads and what general people do, because drivers are no different to just a normal public. And that phone, that's literally the phone itself, is their life source. And that's everything happens on that phone. So we need to recognise that and I say, protect them from themselves when they're out doing the journeys and doing their deliveries, etc. So using the power of technology on fleet risk. I think over the coming years, and certainly over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen technology sweeping into the fleet space. And the insurers obviously are supporting this and getting behind this primarily because technology, the flow of technology on developing driver safety, driver risk management, it's absolutely, it can be amazing. And lots of companies use telematics, lots of companies use cameras, and cameras basically are a great addition to any fleet policy. Of course they are, but they don't stop accidents. And what we're trying to do here is to stop those crashes happening in the first place. In other words, at source, therefore the drivers using the phones. So the viability, and that's through the organisation, the feasibility, what is the process behind that, and the desirability for staff to get on board with this. And we're looking at the innovation curve there. So the organisation, it recognises the recognises the issue and identifies a solution. The staff receive suitable communications to explain the issues and associated dangers, explain the organisation, individual and societal benefits. And the process is introduced, monitored and measured. And that's the thing, if you can measure something, you can monitor it, but you can also measure, we can also manage it. And we use something called smart thinking there with these propositions. Let's look into the smart thinking apparatus here. So the aim is to use SMART thinking to manage driver safety performance. Specific, this will be focused on driver safety, road user safety. Measurable, this can be measured with the fleet portal and results can be reported back on individual driver performance and corporately on improving results that can be reported favourably to the organisation and senior directors. Achievable, to influence driver behaviour, and that is what this is all about. It's influencing that behavioural change by eradicating that phone in the first instance. We therefore also affect automatically driver safety because they're not using the mobiles anymore, which is great. Realistic should I say, by monitoring and reporting, baseline compliance can be established and where specific training needs can be identified. So this can also become a training tool where you know you've got a problem with a driver. It repeatedly pulls away from what your requirements are. We would like you to stop you using your phone. You've signed a document to say we'll do that. We're putting technology in there, but you're still wanting to use it. We need to have a strong word with the driver, of course, give him some training, give him some support. He's not on his own here because it's a difficult thing to do. And it's changing that culture, changing that driver behaviour. That's what we're all about, really. And time-based, a suitable time frame for the introduction of one of our schemes. can be identified to enable compliance as well as assisting performance management. And it's down to the whole company working in harmony together, where it comes from the top, it's implemented by the drivers to the drivers, but also primarily for the drivers. And everybody gets a benefit from this. It's just a fantastic way of eradicating a colossal problem we currently have with drivers using the phones. What we've got here is a case study. I do apologise, it's a US case study. Having said that, this physically happened, and we haven't been operating long enough, may I say, to do a case study in the UK. But you know, this has literally happened with a huge fleet over in the US that go into Canada as well, and they've seen a 50% drop in annual fleet insurance claims after they started using Lifesaver. Our drivers are now fully aware that we take this seriously at ECMD, and we're all in this together. And that comes from one of our propositions called Lifesaver Mobile, which is primarily just a software download. You've got a great portal, a very flexible portal, which has got some fantastic functionality around it. And you just develop everything from there, and you use the portal just to sort of get every driver to download the app onto their phones, and away you go. Okay, so if there's any question, I don't think we have a question and answer thing at the end of this, but primarily we operate and we sell exclusively these three propositions. The first one on the left-hand side here on your screen is No Sell. No Sell is an American proposition. It comes with the hardware-software combination. It is primarily a Rolls-Royce product. It's the belt and braces, and has a couple of unique features in that, where it's aware, or it can sense, or it can somehow communicate back to the fleet manager that the driver's got a second phone in the cab or in the vehicle, and is using that, and it sends a report straight to the fleet manager, who can then say to the driver, you know, we've got a no phone policy, we really need to stick with that. If the driver gets so upset and concerned about this app taking away all the apps on his phone, but the primarily thing it can keep those apps open, the fleet manager says it can use like Waze, a thing called Ping on the right hand side here, which I'll talk about in a second, or in Google Maps, where they're going to need the apps working, of course. And basically, if he wants to uninstall that, because he's so upset with his product that he uninstalls it, in 3 minutes it automatically reinstalls it, and suddenly the phone goes blank apart from the apps that the fleet manager says he can have. So it is a fantastic proposition, and just give us a call or email me, whatever, or my me if you want to know more about that. Lifesaver is going incredibly well US, and it's just starting to take off here through Distraction 999, the business. That is purely a very easy implementation into your fleet, because it's purely a software download with a very intuitive and very great functionality, once again, on their portal. They also have a speeding on that, which sets out an audible alarm to the driver, and he can have it 5 days a week, 7 days a week, 8 o'clock till 6 o'clock, wherever you want. So there's a lot of functionality in that portal as well. And finally, Ping. What fleet managers are telling us as a business, that they need to stay in communication with the drivers, and just to cut the phone off. We know how dangerous that can be. We're all aware of that, and there's nobody that can sort of say, no, I can't see any dangers in using a handheld phone. But of course, that's just basically wrong. We know that. They're just not facing up to the facts of life. But Ping is a message out loud, and it reads out loud from any platform, any message that you want to send to the driver. And this can come from your own business, it can come from the friends, family, whoever that may be, and it just reads out loud. The driver he has no capability of answering that message unless he pulls over, of course. And if you've got No Sell or Lifesaver in there, basically Ping works with both of those propositions. So it's a great communication tool that's legal and compliant, and of course so safe. The driver doesn't have to look at his phone, touch his phone, or interact with his phone in any way, shape or form to listen to the messages. And I say every platform, so any text you want to send to your drivers, any emails, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Slack, basically everything that's out there. I think there's about 12 different platforms that Ping you can utilize, so you can send any message which will be read out loud to the drivers. And that's also got one or two great functionality pieces on it as well as Ping. So there you have it, folks. Do give us a call. I've got my number down there is my direct mobile. So come back to me if you want to know more about this. I'm delighted to be part of the road safety thing this year. It's great to be here. I think we're all in this together. We're just trying to save lives, stop crashes happening, so that drivers are safer on the roads. And that's been my aim for some 40 years in this industry. I want to thank you all for listening. As I say, come back to me if you want to know more. Great to speak to you. Have a safe day, and thanks very much indeed. Bye-bye to you.